The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
So, as I said earlier today, we're going to have two different topics on the Thursday Dialogue. At 11:30, after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines, we're going to have a conversation, and I want to hear your thoughts on this Constitutional Court ruling that husbands can now take their wives' surnames. And I'll give you context on why we got to this point where the Constitutional Court had to rule in this way. But I also want us to just look at the other points that were made on the 702 open line this morning as soon as the story broke by some people who believe that this is un-African and it goes against culture. I want us to debate that a little bit just after the news at 11:30. But right now, on our Thursday Dialogue, we start a conversation about the Political Killings Task Team. How successful has the Political Killings Task Team been in its mandate since its establishment, right? What work has the task team been able to do? We've seen some key arrests in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal emanating from the work of the task team, but there are complaints that have also been sent to the Minister of Police and Parliament around the work of this unit. Some argued that it was a law unto itself and that it mismanaged some funds. And I wonder actually how much resources such task teams receive. And I wonder if there is a way for them to account for funds that they get allocated. But remember, the Political Killings Task Team was established in 2019 following the 2016 Moerane Commission's investigation into the root causes of political killings in KwaZulu-Natal. And what the commission did was make comprehensive recommendations to address political violence, which then led to the formation of the task team with a mandate to investigate and resolve unresolved politically motivated murders, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, the KZN Police Commissioner believes that this task team has actually investigated political killings very well, and it's uncovered some really serious corruption in the SAPS and criminal justice system. And that's why the police minister instructed that it be disbanded. So that's the belief out there. So while some operational successes are clear, there are questions that remain about transparency, about political interference, and whether investigations have led to lasting convictions. So we've invited Brigadier Athlenda Mathe, who is the National Police Spokesperson. We've invited Haas as well, who is the KZN Violence Monitor, one of those who have raised concerns about this Political Killings Task Team. Brigadier Mathe, I'll start with you. Good morning. Thank you for making time for us.
A very good morning to you and to the listeners.
So let's look at the work of this task team since it was established. What are you able to share with us? Have we seen successes?
Okay. So you will recall that the task team was established in 2018, and it was established by the president after noticing an escalation in politically related murders. So since then, I think we're now standing at 401 arrests, and about 55 firearms that were used in the commission of these crimes. So of the cases, of the 401 arrests, 122 are still in custody for political killings. We also have 12 that are still in custody that are involved in traditional leadership killings as well. And when you look at the Forte cases where the bodyguard of the Vice Chancellor was killed, we still have about 7 still in custody, and we are sitting at more than 130 accused that have been convicted to time in prison.
Okay, let me go to Mary de Haas now to hear how she responds to that. Mary, thank you so much for also making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, let's just get this quite clear. The president, it was an executive decision to establish an interministerial team, so that is why the minister had the power to disband it. It was not within the power of the police. You see, you have to understand, task teams, I've worked with them since the 90s, are set up for short periods for specific purposes. This one was different. It was set up at the executive level by the government, and that is now how many years ago? 7 years ago. Okay, well, I'll come to the statistics. But the problem is, from the very beginning, that team was basically managed by the Minister of Police, which was completely illegal in terms of the Constitution. A minister is not. But everyone will tell you that he's the one who gave instructions. Okay. And the first thing they did, we had a very good provincial team here. They're the ones that got the convictions in Gleeblands Hostel. Life sentences, they're still doing it. Okay. The task team comes in, takes the dockets. It withdraws cases against politicians, key politicians, in 3 cases. One is the Sindisa Magaka case, in which a key provincial person and 2 municipal people were charged. They withdrew charges against them. And senior ANC guy mysteriously died. They withdrew charges against another senior ANC person, a doctor in Newcastle, and the witness and someone with him died. Then they withdrew charges these were all on track. People had been arrested. Let's just take the Magaka case now. They're now having, the problem is not just the police in this, it's the prosecutor. The prosecutor is fabricating, I've got statements, affidavits, prosecutors fabricating evidence to convict the wrong people because they're covering every single case I've looked at. They could have taken look, I gave the database to the Morani Commission. There were dozens and dozens of cases. I can tell you, and you can't evaluate these statistics that are being thrown out because there is no breakdown. And police make arrests all the time and those charges are eventually withdrawn. So I don't buy into it. I can show you that they have been involved in, and they've disobeyed the minister by carrying on this year. Sure. People just don't seem to understand this.
Okay, but Athlenda Mathe just told us 401 arrests was as a result of the task team. 122 people are still in custody.
Yeah, I know they are. And some of them, there's little virtue. I mean, the ones I know, let me give you an example. And this is quite an interesting example. This man was a senior, he was actually an MK guy, senior road traffic inspector down the South Coast. He went to the police with information about who killed an uncorruptible speaker, ANC speaker. His information coincides with what I know about the killing. It was some years back now. Now, that task team has never followed that up, but they arrest him on trumped-up charges. Somebody tries to kill him with poison in prison. He's obviously public enemy number 1 because he knows that the killing of the local speaker was orchestrated by a man who's a wealthy tenderpreneur with political connections. It's never been investigated, that case. Right. Okay. So he goes to prison on fairly minor charges. When I say fairly minor, compared with murder or attempted murder, like fraud or having his deceased brother's gun. And I mean, this man's got licenses for every gun you need. Okay. He's 5.5 years denied bail for these charges. In May, he goes to court. Charges are withdrawn under Section 174. No evidence whatsoever. And this is what they're doing. So it's very easy to say, oh, we've detained this one, we've detained. 2 Umkomaas policemen who arrested 3 hitmen on their way with AK-47s were arrested to cover up for the hitmen who have been let out. What sort of work is that by a task team?
Okay, let's bring in Brigadier Mathe here. Brigadier Mathe, are you aware of some of these concerns, or even the police commissioner aware of some of these concerns that have been raised about the political task team abusing its power, being a law unto itself, and of course claims that they've also mismanaged some funds?
Okay, firstly, let me indicate that what is being highlighted is not true. When we talk about, if you can refer to the case of Mr. Sindisa Magaka, charges were withdrawn there. We had investigated. Charges were withdrawn after the hitman then lied under oath, he then said he was alone in this and he didn't implicate the then mayor and the then municipal manager. And when the case was in court, it was then it was drawn before court. So our team then focused to gather more evidence to convict this particular hitman. He was convicted for 25 years imprisonment, and after only his eviction, that's when he came out clean with the truth to say, actually, from the beginning, these are the people behind the Cindy Somagaga's hit. It was the former mayor. You will recall that the former mayor committed suicide, and what we have uncovered is that he committed suicide because of the pressure that was being exerted on him by the hitman, because the hitman was threatening him that he will spill the beans if he doesn't continue to take care of his family members and continue to pay him while he is in jail and so on. But after he was convicted to 25 years in prison, that's when he then revealed everything to say, I was with the former municipal manager on this, and hence then after the conviction, the former municipal manager was then arrested by the same task team. The former mayor, as I've indicated, committed suicide because of the pressure. He couldn't handle the threats anymore. So those are some of the things that I can reveal to you. And the team is working hard. We have I've also highlighted the successes of the team, and there are still investigations that are still ongoing. And we have previously submitted reports on allegations that Ms. Merida Haas made, and there was no proof to any of the allegations he was made to say the former minister is the one that appointed the team and so on. Are we saying there was no evidence that suggested that we needed such a team in place?
Yeah.
When you look at the escalation of political killings in KZN and other provinces, and when you look at the convictions in the Sindiso Magaqa case, you look at the convictions in the engineer who was attached to the Alfred Inzo case, you look at the murder of ANC candidate Councillor Siyabonga Mkhize and his friend Mzukisi Nyanga while campaigning for the 2021 local government elections. Yeah. When you look at the people that have been sentenced there, it will give you much appreciation for this team and that there is a need for this team to stay on. I know she is talking about funds and so on, but with such a team in place, obviously, you can't expect a team to stay in a hotel that you and I, Clement, would stay in because of the level of risk. You can't expect the task team to use ordinary vehicles because of the level of threat that there is. So you will expect such a team, obviously, to use more funds for other things that may come up during investigations and so on.
Oh, but is there a way to account for some funds? Because that could also be abused, right? If you're saying, okay, I mean, they need to stay and use money whichever way they see fit, just so that they make sure that they are safe, that could also be abused.
Everything is accounted for. We've got a CFO, and I think for a number of years we have attained. I think it was a clean audit report. I'll just verify, or a qualified report. So we are in the green in terms of that. So there's no such unit that doesn't account. Every unit is accounted for, and every funds that are made available to task teams or whether units are accounted for. All
right. Let me bring in Willem Elsie, who's a senior trading coordinator with the Institute for Security Studies. Willem, what are your thoughts on the effectiveness or lack thereof of this political killings task team based on what we've had and what you've observed as well over the years?
Good morning to our panelists, and I want to appreciate the contributions by the two panelists, because it's very important that we have a vibrant debate on this situation. I think if you look at the vibrantness and also the effectiveness of this team, we first have to go back to where it's coming from and the challenges that originated when it was established. So rightly so, they mentioned where it came from and why it was set up. But you know, the name of the task team already raises a red flag, because what are they investigating? They are investigating political killings. And for a police officer that's operational, they serve the government of the day. I mean, I spent 28 years in the police. I served under several governments, and that is what you need to do. You need to be removed from the political sphere, and you need to focus on operational matters and enforce the legislation and enforce the rule of law. So that is your challenge that you are faced with here, where this team was actually pushed into a gray area that was always going to be problematic. And I mean, in the old days, pre-94, you also had your units and your sections that worked on that, and that was also problematic. So we should have learned from there. But what we also saw here is, and I think Mary rightly so mentioned that the Constitution came into play here, because if you look at Section 206 and Section 207 of our Constitution, it clearly defines the roles of the minister, but also that of the National Commissioner. And the question that begs to answer here is, and I believe that will also be scrutinized, and hopefully we'll get some clarity with the upcoming Commission of Inquiry, but also the ad hoc committee, is that, did the minister overstep his powers there? Was he not supposed to leave it to the National Commissioner and, of course, then the Provincial Commissioner and the detectives to be able to do their work, what they are being paid for, what they have been trained for, and to be unbiased in order to investigate these killings, even though they are political in nature? So the successes of this team was there. We saw that in most of the areas that they operated, there was a steep decline since it was established on some of the killings. We saw the arrests that they mentioned, but also, for example, they also secured some strong sentences, where amongst them 18 plus life sentences that were accumulated with them. But the other thing that we also need to see, one of the challenges that I think with them is, we see that we arrested a lot of your Izinkabis, your operators, your people on the ground, your low-level syndicate members. But we didn't see a lot of the kingpins, the people that actually ordered the killings, the people that were behind this. They managed to not be on the roll. And that begs the question that also we hope will be aired now with the two commissions that are ongoing. Is why? Was there political interference in shielding those people? Was there protection? Was there undue interference? And that is, I think, one of the major challenges. If you look at the of course, the money and the oversight and everything, with every police unit, especially a contention one like this, you're going to have some discrepancies because of the nature of the humans, and because of also important, you have to have your civilian oversight, and you have to have your civil society to scrutinize them, etc., etc. But the challenge of the fact of the matter is, we do have certain instruments. We've got civilian oversight, but also we have some instruments in the form of IPIT, where you can lay your complaints, and then they have to be strengthened in order to investigate. So I think there was checks and balances in place, but the challenge was was there interference?
Yeah. Mary de Haas, let me give you an opportunity to come in here. Especially,
I need to,
go ahead.
Please, can I just set the record straight? If there's one case I know everything about, it's the Makaka case. And that is when the persecution of Thabiso Zulu started, when he opened his mouth about who killed him. And he's been in hiding, more or less. He's been targeted. He's had his phone seized. The task team sees phones without any orders. They kill people. They torture people all the time, emotionally and with plastic bags. Right, I've got all this empirical stuff, but I just want to focus, and I can tell you a lot of them aren't even detectives. And I mean, they're taking dockets that aren't political. They've taken a whole lot of municipal corruption dockets in Nongoma, investigated by a sergeant from the stock theft unit. That's the mandate of the DPCI. They take these, and prosecutors will tell us. Now, let me just give you this example about the Magaka case. No, the hitman wanted to confess when he was arrested. A very good prosecutor in Pietermaritzburg agreed that he would confess. The docket was taken from the good prosecutor, given to a refugee from Gauteng who was threatened with criminal action himself, who's dealing with all the task team stuff, and the serious complaints, serious about him. He refused the hitman the right to confess. Hitman's been dying to do it for years. A few of us, and I'm telling you this because I know the whole story, the hitman has been letting it known to everybody he wanted to confess all along. Okay, a few of us managed to raise money for Mrs. Magaka, who's been sitting in court for 7 years and still no end in sight, for the hitman to confess. An advocate and a lawyer helped him to confess. I have the confession, the whole confession. It goes into the fact that he wanted to confess. He names the previous prosecutor who was going to help him to confess. He names the fact that he was denied the right to confess. Okay, it was long before he was convicted because the new attorneys, the new lawyers managed to get the trials separated. He was convicted, and it's all on record in his confession. And we know it from independent sources, not just from him. So I'm afraid the Brigadier has been badly misinformed about this, and also the fact that arrests mean nothing. Police do it all the time, and their cases are withdrawn. They've done it over and over again with the task team. I know. I've got it detailed. I've got empirical stuff.
Yeah, you said something earlier, Mary, about the task team not respecting the directive coming from the minister for this task team to be disbanded. Why must the minister be the one that takes such an operational decision? And if as you argue that the minister is the one who had authority because this was a ministerial commissioned task team, then he is the one that's got control and he can take a decision that it be disbanded. Why then did he send the instruction to the National Police Commissioner, which was then carried out by the Deputy National Police Commissioner, if really he's got that authority?
Because he works through the national minister. You see, people have become unused to this because of politicians telling them what to do. And that nowhere worse than in the police in the last few years. And you'll remember that the last minister had been dismissed as commissioner in disgrace. He's got criminal cases against him, serious fraud criminal cases. Now, the job of ministers is policy. It's to monitor, it's to give instructions to the National Commissioner. And that's exactly what the minister did. It was a ministerial team, not a team. And I've still got organograms from the 90s of the way that task team works. They're set up, for example, the Richmond Islands. A task team is set up for a specific purpose. And it's usually a month, at the most several months or a year or two, depending on cases. This is not a task team. And a lot of these people aren't even detectives. And you must remember, you see, when the task team started, like one of those recent convictions goes back to when the team was headed by a senior detective. The detective left and clearly put Khumalo there. Right. Now, Khumalo is not a detective. Neither is Masemola. Neither is Mkhwanazi. They are all operational response people. They haven't got a clue about detective work.
Okay. Let me get Brigadier Mathe to respond to that. Yeah. Brigadier Mathe?
Well, we still stand firm and we still stand by the work that has been done by this team. When you look at the successes that have been attained, 40 hit orderers have been arrested so far. This includes your councillors, your tenderpreneurs and senior municipal officials, 72 hitmen coordinators, 178 hitmen. And those are just some of the arrests that have been made by this task team. I don't think Mr. Haas has intricate details of what is happening because she is an outsider and she does not have, she wouldn't have information on the day-to-day runnings and intricate details of each case. So I think she's relying on hearsay. But I think the team has proved itself. You look at cases like the DJ Sambudi case that only got a breakthrough with the involvement of the task team, the Aman Swart case. And we, like I highlighted last week when we were having a conversation, Clement, that initially the firearms were being linked to 10 cases, and now the number of cases has grown to 30, and that is the work of the task team. So they handle quite complex cases. that involve obviously political killings, but also in 2024 the president then extended the mandate of the task team to also include cases that include traditional leaders that have been killed and so on. So the team doesn't only concentrate on your political killings, political killings. It's expanded its mandate. It's extended its mandate to other cases where detectives struggle to secure breakthroughs and so on. And they have proved themselves time and again that they are capable, they've got the expertise and so on.
And of course, General Mkhwanazi has claimed that because they've started even assisting, for instance, the SAPS in Gauteng, and as a result, there have been arrests because of their assistance. That's when the political interference then started, and you've got people like the minister then deciding that this thing has got to stop. All right, Brigadier Mathe, Mary de Haas, and Willem